Okay, ready? We'll go ahead and call the preliminary budget meeting to order at 5:02. Roll call. Jill? Jill Menard here.
Sean Derricks here.
Michelle Otto.
Ben Keel here.
Melissa Goodrun here.
Wendy Manson.
And we'll let staff go ahead.
Well, this is our annual preliminary, strongly stressed preliminary.
First of all, you
Budget.
guys had an opportunity to read this. Look at it.
I have not, because I got it today as I was on vacation prior to, so, no.
I emailed it to
Okay,
you.
I got it today too, and I still had time to look through it.
I emailed
Even
it.
before Wendy came to visit me, so.
I always have other stuff going on at work.
Just saying, I emailed it. Okay. So in the packet, one of the first items in the packet is the 28, just says 2018 proposed levy. What we're proposing is a 2.5% tax rate increase for 2018. And then I've got a couple items listed there. It says this levy includes the following items. So this is the proposed. We have to have it to the county by September 30th. So it'll be on the September, whatever day council meeting is in September. And then from there, we have until December to get it, the final one in line and sent off to the county. So at that point, so just remember, we can come down, we can't go up. Unless we petition the state. And I think it takes pulling teeth. So in this, I listed a couple items, and Sean actually he sat down today and calculated basically these items I listed. So the police protection, the increase to 10 hours a day at $72 an hour is a difference of,
Increase of $59,860.
the legal services. So we were last year we had budgeted $30,000 for legal and $5,000 I think it was under the union negotiations. But we're going to have union negotiations going on in 2018 for both groups. So we increased that to $10,000. And I increased the regular one from 30 to 32 because right now they're on retainer at $2,500 a month, which is $30,000. So if there's anything extra, we have no budget, so I increased it to 32. So we really went to 42,000 from 35,000, so it's an increase of 7,000.
You think the 2,000 is enough for wiggle room?
I think it should be because most months it's just the flat
Okay.
general, I mean, they just do the retainer. There's only a couple times where it's been a little higher when we've had some extra things like personnel policy, if there's anything that has to do with that. If it has anything to do with like developments or something, and they charge us separate, I charge that to the development, so we don't pay for it. That goes, the developers pay for that.
Okay.
So that should be good. I don't foresee anything else that's gonna
Right.
make it be higher. Election equipment upgrade. So right now we use, it's called an M100. The state is pushing everybody to go to, it's a DS 200, I believe it's called. They did set aside some money for grants, but not a lot. The county, so last year I budgeted $2,000 to start building that fund up, because the county thought that would be good. And then like 2,000 last year, 2,000 this year. However, the state didn't appropriate as much money as they thought for grants. So they're also pushing going to the e-poll books. So when you walk in the door, if you're not registered, you will register on an iPad. You'll get registered, you'll get approved, your registration will be approved immediately because it goes all through the state. And you'll actually, you know how now when you come in and you go to the roster book and you have to sign, you actually will sign on there too. And instead of, it'll eliminate signing in the roster book, you'll sign on the iPad.
Everyone, whether you're registered or
Yep.
whether you're not registered or.
Correct.
Okay.
And they are, at this time, they are suggesting everybody go to 2 of them. So with what the county is thinking they're gonna be able to get from the state, And what we would have to put in, we'd have to put in probably close to $9,000, or close to $5,000, but no, $7,500, I'm sorry. Well, $7,500. I budgeted $2,000 last year, I budgeted $5,000 this year, which will get us up to $7,000. So hopefully, we might get a little more on the grant. The other option they're looking at is the county was going to go back, the auditor's office was gonna go back to the county and look at the county purchasing all of it and leasing it to the cities, which then we would get it by a little bit cheaper. I'll know that by the final budget. If that's the case, we can bring it down, but for now, the other option is we might just buy the E-poles this year and keep the M100s till the next election 2 years from now, and that way we can budget a little more. So we'll know more when it comes time for final, but for now, we don't have an option. I mean, budget for it and see what happens.
That's what we need to do, in my opinion.
Public Works pickup truck. I don't know which one Sean's looking at replacing, but we gotta start replacing some of them because they're starting to rust out. And that was about $30,000 we figured for a pickup truck.
Which one were you thinking of, Sean?
I haven't determined that yet.
But all of our trucks are 2004s and 7s and they're all 10, 12, 14 years
Initially,
old.
probably the Canyon. That's the one on call, so.
The single axle plow truck. We called it a single axle plow truck municipal lease. You can talk about that one.
Okay. I don't know if any of you are aware, we had a demo unit here last month that is for sale. It's a 2017 model, and we've kicked the tires on it pretty hard. We had it here for a couple of weeks. And out the door, it's just shy of 200,000 as it sits right now. There are some bells and whistles on there that we wouldn't use. So we're more likely going to build our own in fiscal year 2018. They offer a municipal lease for that. We'll probably start speccing it out here this fall so that we can receive it as soon as possible. If we were to stay, I've looked at a couple other cities' trucks too. Waverly went with the sister truck pretty much to what we looked at. And there was 195 and change. Looked at one closer to Metro. It was 186, so in that 190 all range is what we're kind of looking at. Boyer offers, it's also state bid, so we don't have to get competitive bidding. It's already been pre-negotiated through state contract. And they're offering municipal lease. It's essentially the same thing as financing. At the end of the lease, there's a $1 buy. So essentially you're paying, at the end of the lease, you pay $1 and it's yours. We initially were looking at about $30,000 a year for 7 years, but that is flexible. If we were to pay it off early, there is a penalty of, I believe, 2% of the balance.
Yeah, it wasn't very high.
I'm not gonna pay something off early and get penalized, so.
Right.
So it's kind of like what we did with the payloader. I don't know how many of you were you here when we bought the payloader?
I think so.
You might have been here back then too, then when we bought that new payloader, we kind of through that.
That was 2012.
No, just
So maybe
before
not
then,
then.
no.
Okay, that's how we buy our payloader too. We did it through a municipal lease.
However,
With John Deere, this is through whoever, like you said, and it's all through the state bid, so.
So we're budgeting $30,000 a year for that. That was been identified in the capital improvement plan for quite some time. And we need to seriously look at adding this to the fleet.
What would we do with the ones that we have?
We're gonna keep them.
We put the air conditioning unit on at Carver Field, so yeah, I'm not sure why. Just so you knew we were getting it.
We don't need it.
Do we need it? Why do we need that?
Because of the discussion we had, you said that it was, refrigerators were failing in there.
Yeah, but Wayne said he could just put a venting, a little vent up there.
We can try it, but I don't agree with that.
It's pretty minimal anyway,
Yeah.
It's not-
gonna,
and we might be able to do it yet this year. City Hall backup generator, that's about $20,000.
there again, that was also identified in the
Capital
capital
improvement.
improvement plan.
That's so in case of emergency, it'll run this office, so this can be an emergency management office. And it can be used other places too, but
It's been identified for a long,
Long
long
time,
time,
yeah.
and it needs to be more than identified.
yeah.
So is that a portable one or is that a stationary?
Stationary,
Okay.
yeah. Just dedicated to
Yep.
city.
Yep, and then hooked up to like LP or whatever.
More line means.
So when we do have power outages and stuff too, it doesn't shut down our office completely.
Yeah. Takes-
Solar lights along the Highway 12 walking trail, that's about 16,000. That was also from the capital improvement plan.
That was also recommended by the Park and Rec Commission to pursue that for this
Mhm.
year. Or
I was gonna say it was in
next
there.
year coming up.
Yep, in our plan. The Garfield Avenue, Montrose Meadows Street reconstruction loan, we can take Garfield Avenue off of that and just say Montrose Meadows, because the Garfield Avenue, we had identified that we were paying that as a, from our cash reserves. But the Montrose Meadows, since that was unexpected, but the street is in total disrepair. They won't even be able to plow it this year if we don't do something with it. So that, we were going to do probably about a $350,000 bond. We'll be looking at about 55,000. We're gonna only do it for like 7 years because we don't want it to be very long. So that's like $55,000 payment. And then the Trunk Highway 12 South right-of-way acquisition and engineering, since we're going to be starting that project, going down, redoing that street all the way down to 7th Street. We talked to Justin, and he said in 2018, we would most likely be looking at the right-of-way acquisitions and some of their engineering, and that was 205,000, Sean?
Yep.
So that's 205,000. So when you add all that up, I don't have it written down, you have it.
466, 860.
And I don't know if that even included the increase in the legal services, did it?
And 10,000 for legal.
Oh, okay. So of that, so we're actually, if you look at it this way, we're adding about $466,860 worth of items to our budget. However, if you look at what we are actually proposing for a levy, it's $102,424. So we have internally, well, we had, a little bit of increase in our LGA. And we just, it's to set aside money for, that'll still give us some money set aside in our capital improvement plan to do what we need to do. Get things paid for, start on Highway 25s, so we don't have to worry about how we're gonna pay for that in 2019 when that project's done. So, I don't know if you have any questions, if you've gone through it, if you have any questions in particular that you wanna ask, or, I don't wanna go through line item by line item unless you have questions, so.
So of the 466, 660, 364, 436 is being either by restructuring or working our current, and then cash on that, and cash on hand.
Yeah.
So 102,424 is proposed for levy increase. I think that matches what
Yep.
on your sheet.
Yep. And that's the 2.5% rate increase.
So saying that, it is a very modest increase compared to what it could be.
I mean, once again, it's kind of like what we talked about in years past. We had no increase for so many years, and then we had a slight increase, and then no increase again for so many years, and it's just, we just need to start building up our capital improvement funds and getting some of this stuff done. I think he just spent on the orange plow truck, how much have you spent this year just getting it fixed? $8,000?
Roughly,
So some of our equipment is getting
yeah.
old.
It has to stay around to pay for itself.
Yeah. Some of the equipment's getting old, we gotta start thinking about, building up our fleet if something, if that orange one were to die, we'd have to have something to plow with, and,
But we could still, we got by without it.
well, we could, but, I mean, just
It's time to-
as time goes on.
How old is the orange one? 3 years?
When we bought it used, we've had 3 or 4 years, I suppose, already. We're still less than half of what a new one would cost. Well, we got into that one.
So did anybody have any questions on like our revenue or our budget, or our expenditure worksheets at all? Anything that happened to jump out at you, or?
Nuts.
There's extra ones.
Go to page 5. Or that number we looked at, that's where the expenditures start for the 101 fund. And then after that is the 230 fund, which is park and rec. And then EDA after that, community center. And then under the 405 is
401.
401 is capital improvement.
Anybody see anything that jumps out at them, or any questions?
Couple ones. I'm back to see which ones you answered already.
Okay.
I told you, didn't fairly answer.
The $8,000 for Spark Open Gym Party in the Park, what are we paying for Spark now? Do you know, Pam, is it 30?
I think last year was $29.65 or something, so right around 3,000.
Is the open gym is right around the same too, isn't it?
Yes. Now, I haven't seen a bill for open gym, are they still doing that? Okay.
As far as I know.
So one of the big things we need to know in the 230 fund is regional park development. What are your thoughts as a council on what you want to do moving forward?
Abbey, the 235, yeah, park development.
Currently, the way it sits is we took $50,000 of the LGA that's going from this payment, correct?
And we put 50,000 in, so the original motion was 75,000 a year. We cut that back this year and only put 50,000 in there, and put the other 25,000 in capital improvements to start saving money for the Highway 25 trail. Because we thought, I mean, it's all parks, and we thought, I mean, it's can kind of be considered park because it's trail.
Essentially, the 50 grand is covering the deficit that was
Right.
accumulated for 2017.
Yeah.
Right, so we have nothing.
So we'd have to start over, but,
Correct.
you know, we could start over in another, you know, couple of years, we could start back over again, putting it back in there. Once, because that project's gonna be done in 2019.
That's what we kind of have penciled in here. If we're completely off base, you need to let us know what your intentions are so we can adjust accordingly.
Where are we at on the regional? How far in the hole are we?
If you go to the page that's got regional park on, it, so the 235 of the big one, and you see on the one where it says $203,200.92, that's what we have spent so far through July. But that's not how much we're in the hole, because we had money in there. I don't have that cash balance sheet in front of me, I think. Or did I run one?
I've got one from probably a month ago.
You might have one from July. Because that's what I would have given you for July. Now, we haven't gotten billed from the guy that's doing the final grading, and we still got some Neaton bills to come in, but. So with that, I mean, it would kind of put that on hold for a little bit, for a couple of years, until we start building it back up again.
But that wouldn't necessarily, I mean, discount that we couldn't work on things that are grant related,
Right.
you know. just-
Which maybe we'd have a better chance of getting grants if we stay in the hole.
Right, it's true.
I think that's,
So maybe in the next couple of years, it's just more prudent to focus on the grants.
so I-
Well, I know Justin's gonna be working on that grant again for the warming.
yeah.
So,
So it's all dependent on what you guys want. Right now, there's nothing.
Yeah, we're actually about 12,000 in the hole, but we haven't gotten the bill yet, the final bill from Neaton, and we haven't gotten the bill from the guy that's
Machine
grading.
grading from Northern Line.
And we just bought the other part of the fence for the, so there's just a couple oddballs. So that's why we put 50,000 in, that should cover everything.
Even close.
Mhm.
I don't think we can spend more when the initial agreement was 75 per year. I don't think we have a choice but to keep it at that, at this point in time.
yeah, because we always said we weren't gonna raise anything to get it there.
Right.
So. Come in.
Hi, can we help you?
I just moved in down the street and I need to switch the power and everything over. So we're gonna talk.
Well, we do the water and sewer and garbage.
Okay.
And you would talk to Jessica, but she's gone for the day. We're just having a meeting at the moment, so.
Okay.
She'd be back in the morning at 7.
7.
And then as far as your power, your electricity and your gas, that would be XL.
It's up.
Mhm.
Okay.
So yeah, she'll be back in here at 7 in the morning.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. So you're thinking we should keep the 75,000 there?
Well, it's at 50 now, right? 50
Right, to cover what's,
plus 25 for over there.
Yes.
And I think keeping it that way is good. I don't think we can put any more into it.
No.
And I don't think we can plan any future projects at this point because there's money for it too. In my opinion.
Speak now, Michelle.
That's all we can do. I mean, we've always said we can't build unless we have it. So it's kind of disappointing that we don't have it, that we're already in the hole, but
Well, we won't be in
we
the
can do
hole.
what we do, so.
but that was part of the capital improvement plan because we had estimated that we would be at the end of this project, at the end of this year, it would be in a deficit, and we had to make it up next year, so which is what we're doing.
Right.
So that was all identified in the capital improvement plan. that everybody agreed to, so.
Or the numbers changed slightly, but
Yep, yep,
that's what it is.
That's any construction project.
Right.
right.
Right?
Yep. They change very quickly.
So that was a major ticket item that kind of wanted some direction on the council, if that's what the plan is going to be, or if we needed to change it, or that was. And then under planning and zoning, we did a major shift in planners fees. Can't remember what the total was in that line. 10,000?
We shifted, it was 10,000 last year, we dropped it down to 8,000 this year.
I see we've been over budget.
The only reason we're over budget right now is because of the comp plan, which will be a budget amendment. So it's not really the actual planner's fees for planning and zoning projects. I mean, for planning, zoning meetings and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
There was still about an $8,000 or $7,000, whatever it was this year, that we had to pay out yet on the comp plan that Joe finished, which was approved in 2016 and she completed it in 2017. So there'll be a budget amendment to bring that down. So we've really only spent about $1,600 or $1,700, $1,800 in planners fees this year. It's not been very much. We brought it down to 8,000. We can wait and see who gets hired in that position, for Maggie's position, if they've got some planning experience. That will also keep the planners fees down.
Yeah.
So we can also cut that back if we need to at that point by December. If it's somebody with some planning experience that doesn't need to use Mark that much. Otherwise, I think we were pretty close to right on. I mean, we didn't have much change in planning and zoning.
Emergency management, we talked about it all.
Yeah, he told me to leave it the way it was. The $1,800 for wages was fine. So, and we had put 2,000 there last year. I don't know why, but we dropped. They only paid out $1,800, and he said that's what they were going to do this year. And he said everything else, the 5,000 equipment and stuff, was all fine. So.
I know last year there was consideration on moving that, one of these tornado sirens out to there. Are we thinking we're gonna do that? Or is
Kevin
that
was
kind of
supposed to
okay?
take the lead on that.
I think he discussed that at personnel, that,
I think a little bit he's talked to me about it. He was looking at doing a solar powered alternative.
Okay,
So,
I'll assume it's still in process.
yeah. I had to look at my notes a couple months ago. Oh yeah.
He's in Washington DC and I will let him know.
Major shift in the seal coating. If you go to Public Works, which should be a couple pages past the planning and zoning, that's where we are funding the truck, the plow truck.
So that's 101, 43, 100, 314 street repair and maintenance. We dropped it by 30,000 and shifted that over to capital work, or capital improvement, I mean, to
Capital work.
capital improvement to fund the plow truck.
So we're just gonna have to scale down our seal coating for, essentially the whole town has been seal coated in the last 5 years, 6 years. Just have to scale it down for a year or two to afford to get this truck.
where in the budget do we have it for, pond maintenance?
That would be under
For
the
pond?
funds.
Pond, you know, because.
That'll be under the enterprise fund, which is not part of this levy.
Okay, okay.
So the only thing we've got here are the ones that affect the actual levy.
Okay.
Those are the enterprise funds that don't affect the levy.
That's okay, that affects your utility bill.
Yeah. So that will be on when we do the final one. We bring all that when we do the final budget. That's what comes forward, yeah.
Okay.
Essentially, the O&M is pretty much the same as it was last year.
Yeah, actually, we probably decreased
A
our
little bit.
operations a little bit and shifted some over to the capital improvement to help cover stuff.
EDA,
We actually decreased that a little bit.
one thing that, this sub-line item of the EDA is the Highway 12 redevelopment committee. Which I don't see on here.
Highway 12 redevelopment.
Oh, we put $5,000 in there, that is for a guesstimate, I guess would be lack of better terms, for the streetscape. Yes. Which I am assuming I'll become very familiar with in the next few months. And, so we had to put some money in there. I'm kinda, Wendy and I are doing some research, because we did this once already.
I know you guys approved at an EDA meeting to look at using the design team. However, not too many years ago, the Highway 12 redevelopment sat down with some engineers or another firm and did an entire Highway 12 redevelopment plan.
So we're gonna pull that out and look at that
And
before
We
we,
talked to
That was
Mark,
like $8,000 or something.
yeah, and we talked to Mark last time we met with our consultants. And Mark seems to think it's wasting your money to bring in the design team. He said, you know, they're really good at what they do. They're awesome at what they do. But unless they know your town and know what you're looking for and that kind of stuff, he said they come in with great ideas, but you also have to go back to what can you afford and what is
Was actually
really.
achievable.
Exactly. And he said maybe before you spend that kind of money on a design team, you should look at the plan you got and see if you can just do some changes
Tweak it
there.
a little bit.
So we put the 5,000 in there, you know, if we need to use Mark's, some help from Mark or Justin or something, it's there. If you don't, go with the design team. If you do, I think that's about what the design team was like 5,000. So either way, it gives you some option.
there's no sense inventing the wheel again that's already been done, that's not too long ago.
When is that meeting? Is it September?
20th, I believe,
I think your council meeting,
August the 20th.
your council meet, whenever the council meeting is, there's meeting.
Oh, the
The Highway
12.
Oh, Highway 12
Highway
is,
12.
yeah, same night as planning and zoning.
Hmm.
So you'll have it ahead of
At least
that.
that's what I've got penciled
Yep,
in.
it is, it's a planning and zoning meeting. Essentially, EDA can actually levy for, it's a certain percentage of your entire budget, no, of your tax capacity. And I don't know off the top of my head what it is, but last year we were able to do 32,665. But we decreased it to 25 because we don't have really consultant fees. Mark is gonna do it for a while, but, so there was kind of the thought, well, you know, we can keep it up there and keep putting money in there, but if you're not gonna need it, we can work it back in slowly again after a while, so we just drop that down for now. And
Hopefully, we're completely wrong and there's a giant demand for economic development. It's the best we can hope for.
Lots of manufacturing.
Right. And we have to spend mountains of time trying to help businesses in Montrose.
community center stayed pretty much flat, there really was no increase in community center.
Actually, I do believe that since the improvements that we've done, it's pretty much rented every weekend now.
Yeah, it'll slow down now again, it was rented quite a bit after, you know, the summer.
It looks a lot better in my opinion than it
Until
did.
we get the thing fixed, but I can't find anybody to come and fix.
I was gonna ask about that pillar.
I have called and called, I even had the League of Minnesota Cities gave me a guy's name out of St. Michael who does that, and I called and he said, yeah, I'll come over and I'll send you an estimate. Jay Johnson, I've called 3 times, he's been coming 3 times, I've yet to get an estimate. So I've gotten one estimate for $3,000.
I'm just gonna have to do it.
I don't, yeah, I'll give this other guy a call again and say, hey, did you come and look at my? I don't know what else to do. Everybody's so busy, it's too minor, nobody, you know, they might come in the fall. But
Any questions as of? Got 1 page left in expenditures, which is capital improvement.
Oh yeah, I left the fire on there, that could have come out. We won't budget in there.
There again, that pretty much reflects on what we talked about at the beginning, with the exception of the debt. Some of it did anyway, the bonding part of it. So, any questions? Comments? What would you like to see differently?
Otherwise, we can go on and do the next part, and then if you got questions, we can come back to. After that, I put in the net tax capacity, where we've been in the past years, where we think we might be next year. So, as you can see, since we started after 2008 and 9, after that when it dropped off dramatically, and then now it's coming back. So I estimated about $100,000 increase to the tax capacity, which is about what it's been over the past couple of years now. So that's strictly an estimate, it's a guess. Then on the next page, what I did was I took our estimated tax capacity. I put last year's in 2017, I put the levy. If your house was, now this isn't the value of your home, this is the taxable market value of your home. You know, so after they do their little deduction, their taxable market deduction. So you can see what the taxes approximately were last year, based on what our tax rate was, and what they would be this year at the 2.5% increase. I would guess most of the houses in Montrose, their taxable market value are probably right around $150,000. So if you were to go with the 2.5% increase, it would be $40 over the whole year of an increase, which is actually pretty minimal, a $40 increase. For what we're planning on, I mean, the things that we are fixing or need to fix or need to buy or,
Between $3 and $4 a month.
yeah. And then the last page is just the proposed levy, the certification, that's what goes to the county after the September meeting. Just showing how we allocated the LGA. So we get an the increase was about 12,000 this year, 12 to 13,000. Other resources, that was in the revenue part of it, that's what we take in, went through building permits, that kind of stuff. Liquor license, any of those things. Under capital improvements, the 138,000 would be the cash reserves for Garfield. 4,000 is what I take in for rent at the community center. So that's our other income, our other resources, and that brings us to the 1,126,000. So, guess it. I saw that. I was thinking maybe I should change that. Maybe I should change it to be 700 just to be even, so. I thought of that. So I guess, if you have any questions or thoughts or?
So anybody talked to Lloyd about any of this? Do we know where Lloyd is? You guys haven't heard anything?
I sent out emails with everybody with the notices. I sent out emails to everyone with the packet, and the packet, so.
I tried calling him on my way, but he wasn't home, so I have no idea.
looks pretty good. And a lot of stuff coming up here with Highway 25 there, and so,
Very much.
As I say, I mean, when you think about it, there's a lot of things that are included in here for the $100,000 increase in the levy itself. There's a lot of things that are
4
included.
times the amount.
Yeah, yeah. And still maintaining our cash reserves and, you know, so that we have money there. When you have the cash reserves, it gives you better bonding rates and that kind of
Right.
stuff. I mean, we don't want to put it down to zero. But still able to use cash reserves to fund some of the projects.
No, I think it's great. I really appreciate you reworking some of that, so we weren't having to levy for $466,000 of it. I think 102 is achievable.
Well, I mean, like you said, especially when you think about it, because of the increase in the tax capacity, $40, I guess if my taxes were $40 to $50 higher in the year, I would be happy. Mine went up last year, I think almost 200. So,
Sean, do you want to weigh in on that?
yeah, we won't even talk about buffaloes.
40%?
Yeah.
Yeah,
For what? You guys really didn't.
that's the last 2 years they've done that.
They've done that.
45 and street improvements and
Yeah. Wasn't it just the city, or was that everything?
that was my portion.
The city.
That's what I was asking, if it's.
Yeah,
you
no,
know,
it was just the
so
city of Buffalo.
that- So then you still had school and county and everything on top of that?
2 years in a row it's been double digit.
That's like Delano.
Delano too.
If
So
it
I
makes the
think we're-
freaking
I think
train
we're doing
whistle
pretty
quit
good.
blowing, it's worth every
Yeah.
penny.
Right.
I think ours
I
is
keep telling
pretty,
myself that anyway.
pretty modest for,
They have abruptly come to an end pretty much, so they didn't really do anything this year in Buffalo, so they've got one intersection left by Super America to put in some delineators there, then they can apply for whistle-free zone for the whole segment going through Buffalo. I don't know how many millions they can spend. I don't know what it is.
Oh, you probably don't.
When's your new ice cream shop open up?
Downtown? I don't
Takes
know.
the scoop or something like that?
Twice I've been doing that, haven't been to it
You on the A&W?
yet. Yeah, I think they broke ground on that.
Yep, yep.
There's an A&W coming to Buffalo?
Next to Cub's, in between Cub and Taco Bell.
Cub Foods parking lot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
Cub,
owns
the
Cub
guy that owns
Foods is
Cub
good.
is. Mhm.
My wife eats it.
What's going on with your Pizza Hut? Does she know about that?
No, I don't know.
I heard those was filled with asbestos.
Well, it doesn't surprise me.
And somebody, it was an ice cream shop that was supposed to go in there.
Just think you were thinking about it.
I know. Glad I changed my mind.
I would think they'd have to disclose all that.
Yeah, that was just so recent.
Demolished.
Mhm.
I'm sure it'll just be torn down if that's the case.
City will probably buy it. Like they did the church property.
I would guess now, as long as it's sat empty, if anything was gonna go in there anyway, it would have to be all redone because of,
There's
They always
nothing in
have
it.
to- huh?
It's empty.
well, they've taken all the kitchen and everything out.
Mhm.
I was gonna say, because otherwise they probably couldn't reuse it anyway.
Yeah, it's an empty building. Just
So-
the booths are in there.
So I guess if you're okay with what's on the proposed levy certification, that's what I will put in the packet. And probably, I'll add a couple of these things, like this list that we had in there. I'm not gonna probably put this whole, I'll probably do a summary like I did last year of this some stuff. Just the, you know, like each different fund, I'll just do a summary of it, as to what it last year and this year, where the difference is. So if you're okay with that, that's what we'll go with for the September packet.
Sounds good to me.
So kind of some hints coming on the enterprise side of it. It'll be funding of Highway 25 utilities, which will be coming out of water and sewer funds. cash on hand.
What did you just say?
Highway 25 utilities.
Okay.
The water and sewer portion of it will be funded by the enterprise funds with cash balances on, I believe it was 125 each.
Oh, here comes Lloyd.
Yeah.
And then, well, in the house. That's coming down the road too. Estimated at $9 million.
Hi, Lloyd.
Sorry to be late.
Better late than never. Better late than never.
Just about it.
So any other questions?
I think so. I'll move to adjourn.
For a second?
Yep. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
We are adjourned.
Forty-eight.
9:48.
We're gonna do all making it to town hall tonight? Okay, town hall tonight?